Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, I'm messing up my phone. I don't know what I'm doing wrong today. But anyway, good evening. Good evening. It is Monday and it is time for Pearls of Wisdom. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please like, comment, and share on this video. I can't figure out what I did wrong last week because I couldn't see any of your comments, but please continue to comment. I'll figure it out, and if nothing else, I will definitely respond to your comments at the end. So anyway, you all like my shirt? It says perspective. It's upside down and backwards, but when I look at it like this, I can see it perfectly. This is our topic today about, do you need to change your perspective? I do want to give a shout out to my friend Kenneth Love and his Still Dreaming clothing line. You can find him on Instagram at Still Dreaming Clothing. He is where I got this shirt from, and he is also the inspiration, or the shirt, I guess, is the inspiration of my topic today with regard to perspective. So, you know, this week has been very interesting. It's now been 2 weeks since the murder of George Floyd. And a lot has happened in those 2 weeks. And if you're anything like me, maybe you have some friends who have reached out to you, or even if you have some non-Black family members who have reached out to you. And it's been some interesting conversations over the past couple of weeks. I actually work for a company that has gone out of their way. At first, it was just our Black employee network to open up dialogue and conversations to see how people are feeling, to understand what it is we can do to share our experiences. But then it expanded to something more than just our Black employee network, which I thought was actually pretty wonderful, because there were a lot of people, Caucasian people, Hispanic people, what have you, on those conversations and part of those Zoom calls and conversations as well. And I think that's where we need to be. We need to have conversations with other people outside of others who look just like us if anything's going to change. Now, my conversation today about perspective is one in which I want you all to start to consider someone else's perspective. And I'm not just talking to my non-Black friends. My Black friends need to do this as well. Start considering other people's perspective. So imagine yourself, you and your friend are both walking down the street, but you're walking towards each other. So you're at two different distances and you're walking towards one another. And as you come to the street, in the middle of the street, there's a number in that street. And from your perspective, that number looks like the number 9. From their perspective, coming from the opposite side of the street, that number looks like the number 6. Who's right? In that situation, you both can be correct, but it all depends on your perspective. And that's what I'm asking us to do today, is that in anything, whether you're talking about race relations, if you're talking about any other type of relationship or work relationship or personal relationship or romantic relationship, always consider the other person's perspective when you are in a disagreement about something. I think that is critical, so that you can at least understand where the other person is coming from. Now, looking at something from someone else's perspective does not mean that you will agree with what that person is saying. You may not agree with it at all, but at least you will have some type of understanding as to why they feel or think the way that they feel. So today I was really encouraged. I had heard about a blog that was going to come out. One of my former bosses, his wife, my former bosses, who happens to be Black, and his wife happens to be Caucasian, and they have 2 little Black kids. And he told me, she had posted something on Facebook last week that I thought was just amazing. But he told me that she was going to release a blog, and he was like, Cherie, wait until you read it. And when I tell you, when I read it today, I thought it was amazing. And in it, and I shared it on my page, so please go back to my page and look to see for that blog. But what I thought that was so amazing for her blog, and thank you, Heather Wooden, for the blog, is that she was very transparent. It was very heartfelt. She was very clear about the fact that even though as a Caucasian woman, she didn't even understand her privilege. And so for so many of us as African Americans, we know the white privilege, and sometimes we don't understand how they don't get it. And it's because they think that the things that they experience every day and how life is for them every single day is the way life is for everyone. And it wasn't until she started to change her perspective and start looking at things from her husband's perspective, and especially when she started they started having this family, and they had this little boy and this little girl, for her to realize things aren't the same for them. Things aren't the same for them that they are for her. So again, I am encouraging everyone, no matter what your color or your race, is to look at someone else's perspective whenever you have a disagreement. You know, I was thinking about, and I mentioned this, I don't know, a month or two ago in one of my videos, about one of my dear friends who had happened to call me, and she had said, you know, I was really mad at you about something. And I appreciated the fact that she had the courage to come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking, hi Keisha, I'm upset with you about, hi Jamaica, something, and let's talk about it. Well, one of the other things that she said is that there was someone else that she was upset with. And when she brought the conversation to the other person and said, hey, here's what happened, and you know, I felt like you didn't stand up for me or whatever. And the other person said to her, but I don't stand up for myself. And I think that was eye-opening. One, I give so much credit to my friend for saying, hey, something's wrong here and I want to have this discussion. But then she was able to see from the other person's perspective that, hey, this person doesn't stand up for themselves, so how are they going to stand up for me? So no matter what the situation, I think we need to look at somebody else's perspective. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and she had sent me an email, and she was like, hey, you've been on my mind. You've just been such this wonderful person, and I've enjoyed working with you, so forth and so on. And she said, but I just want to know, how are you doing? And I can't share with you how much that meant to me, that this lady that I worked with for a short period of time, because she's now gone on to another assignment, checked in with me to see how I'm doing. And I felt okay saying to her, I'm not okay. And I wasn't okay at that time. And I said, hey, I'm not okay, but I so appreciate you reaching out to me. She said, Cherie, this time is so, how does she phrase it? It's just so overwhelming. And she said, and I don't know what to do. And she said, I see you as this wonderful person, but I understand the world may not see you the same way. And I said, okay, what you can do is continue the dialogue. Just continue the dialogue. Try to take a moment to see something from someone else's perspective. You know, I had a conversation with some girlfriends yesterday. We had a Zoom call, and one of them was asking, had created this list, and if I can find the list, I'll share it with you all on my page, about different types of resources that are available to our non-Black friends and family on how they can learn, how they can educate themselves. And one of them was the 1619 Project. And so you can Google that project. That kind of gives you an idea of this perspective that many African Americans may have in this country. But I think we all need to educate ourselves. And I'm not speaking just from our non-Black folks. Sometimes some of us Black folks need to educate ourselves as well. Because we think things are a certain way, or we hear rumors about something being a certain way, but we haven't gone through and taken the time to actually research what really happened, and to understand sometimes why we are the way we are. I think we're so quick to say somebody else needs to educate, but we need to educate ourselves as well. So let's make sure that we do in that. But I just really was encouraged by this young lady reaching out to me. And I've heard from lots of friends who have said that they've had a lot of conversations with some Caucasian people. And I want to encourage Black folks, don't get frustrated. My sister-in-law had posted something that said, don't get frustrated when white people ask you dumb stuff. She didn't say stuff, but anyway, don't get so frustrated, because if they're asking a question, hopefully they're willing to learn. And so take the time out to try to educate them. And I know sometimes we feel like it's not our responsibility to educate them, but if someone's taking the time to ask, at least give them the resources so that they can, because sometimes people don't know where to begin. And I know we get so frustrated, like, oh my God, another dumb question. But the dumb question is the one not asked. Let them ask the question, take the time, have your resources available, and then put the ball back in their plate. But sometimes they don't even know what the resources are, and you want to give them the resources that are going to give them the right information. They can get a resource that they think they're learning about race relations, and what that resource is doing is teaching them more hatred and more racism. So do your homework, help them get their homework, but also please take the time. Is that Tracy? Hey, Tracy. Take the time out to look at somebody else's perspective. Take a moment to walk a step in their shoe and understand that maybe the way they're thinking is because of whatever, how they were raised, what they were taught in school, what have you, different circumstances. And because you see something from someone's perspective does not mean you agree with them, but you can understand where they're coming from, and then that will open up more dialogue. So I didn't have much for today. I just really want to encourage you to take a look at someone's perspective. Like I said, it looks great from here. It looks like perspective. But take a look at someone else's perspective whenever you're having a disagreement. And it doesn't have to be about race relations. It could be personal relationships, relationships with your kids, work relationships, what have you. And yeah, hopefully that'll help us make this a better world. Now, other thing I want to share, I did post that there are some things that have changed since these protests have started 2 weeks ago. A lot of things. Look on my page. There's a lot of stuff that has been changed in these 2 weeks. Please understand that protesting does work. It does work. And changes do come out of it. So continue to have open dialogue and conversations with people some who look like you, and lots who don't look like you. And be patient and understand that people are going to ask some questions you may think are dumb, but based upon their perspective, they just don't know. All right, have a great week. I will talk to you next week, okay? Thanks. Have a good one. Bye-bye.